Hey guys, how's it going today? Hope you had a good and profitable night last night. It's Tuesday, so we got a nice little 8-game slate. Not too big, not too small. I kind of like it. I'm playing some cash on both sites. So let's dive in and talk about some catchers. I like the McCann brothers today, actually, both of them for once. I was going to talk about Beef Wellington here, but he's been put on the paternity list, so congratulations, Beef. I suppose your child is imminent. But Brian McCann gets Porcello in Fenway. So, I mean, it's not the best park boost for a left-handed hitter necessarily, but it's also not, a particularly difficult place to hit home run. It would be a boost if he wasn't coming from Yankee Stadium as a home place. And he's 3.2 on DK, so pretty nice and cheap there for him, and 2.7 on FanDuel, so also pretty cheap. But not as cheap on FanDuel as his brother, James McCann, against LeBlanc. He's 2.0 on FanDuel, bare minimum. I absolutely love him there. He has been crushing left-handed pitching all season. He's got an ISO over 300 against left-handed pitching. Yeah, there's some risk that he strikes out, but every batter's floor is 0, so it's no big thing. LeBlanc has been giving up 51% fly balls and a decent amount of hard contact to right-handed hitters. So I definitely don't think it's out of the question that he could hit one out. He's 3.0 on DK, which I think is a more fair representative price, to be honest. I don't love it, but it's still the cheapest guy I have to offer. Also too cheap on FanDuel, though, and probably pretty chalky. I feel like the Cubs in general will be pretty chalky. Is Wilson Contreras against Jared Weaver. Weaver always draws people to the bats facing him. Contreras is 3.9 on DK, so very expensive for a catcher, and 2.9 on FanDuel, so still significantly more than McCann. In 50-50s and stuff, I definitely try to get Contreras in there because I expect him to be pretty popular. Speaking of popular Cubs, it's a good day for Anthony Rizzo, especially on FanDuel, where he's only 4.4. He's 5.4 on DK. I think he's maybe the highest priced player overall. He's definitely near there, and it's a great matchup for a really great hitter. But also you got a great hitter like Chris Davis, who admittedly strikes out a whole lot more. But against Zach Neal, who so far has only struck out 2% of left-handed batters. Small sample, but he's not very good at striking out right-handed batters either. So, and on DK he's only 3.9. Well, it's only 3.9 on FanDuel too, but that's relatively more. And then I also like David Ortiz. It's a bit of a BBP thing, so cover your eyes if you're not into that. He's 3 for 5 with 3 home runs. I'm not saying that this is representative of what he's going to do today or anything. I'm just saying it's a data point that I consider, in addition to him being David Ortiz in a decent matchup here. 5.1 on DK, so a little bit cheaper than he has been the past few days. I mean, I paid 5.6 for him not too long ago. And he's 4.4 on FanDuel, so I definitely think I'd lean Rizzo there just for the popularity's sake, if no other reason. Boy, how about Devin Travis? What a week or 2 weeks he's been having. And I see no real reason to get off the train today. He's at home against Smiley, who is definitely more susceptible to right-handed batters and absolutely can get blown up. I mean, he's a high strikeout guy too, so there's always some measure of risk in that. But Jay's righty bats are pretty good at crushing lefty pitchers at home. He's 4.1 on DK, so, fairly priced, I think. He's 2.8 on FanDuel, which is just still way too cheap. I think he's lock and load on FanDuel cash, no questions asked. On DK, he has some competition in the form of guys like Trey Turner against Bauer for 4K. I'm not sure who's catching in that game, but I'm pretty sure both of the catchers are pretty bad for the Indians at throwing guys out, so that ups Turner's stolen base potential, and he's just another guy who's absolutely been on fire. He's also outfield eligible on DK, so I think that's honestly a possibility too. And then, just throw in Daniel Murphy in that same game. He's too cheap on FanDuel at 3.8. I mean, my cash play is going to be Devin Travis. I could tell you that almost for sure right now, as long as he's in the lineup. At 5.1 on DK, it's just he's too much really to consider for cash. But I think he probably has the best combination of matchup and raw potential and all of that at second base today. Boy, I'm talking a lot. Need to pick things up here. Third base, I love Josh Donaldson. Same deal against Smiley. 4.4 on DK. Crazy, silly price. 4.3 on FanDuel is pretty bargain basement for him, too. There's also Chris Bryant to consider. You might consider him in the outfield on DK. He's 5.3 on DK, so it's mega expensive there. 4.4 on FanDuel. He's always popular, and if the Cubs are going to be popular tonight, then he's going to be really popular, and you're probably going to want a piece of him in cash somewhere. I mean, I hate feeling forced into plays like that, but it's not like he's in a bad spot versus Weaver at all. But there is a cheaper guy for FanDuel especially that I like, and that's Justin Turner, who's been on kind of a heater himself against Vincent Velasquez. Not the best of matchups, but I think it's a workable one. He's 3.3 on FanDuel, 4.4 on DK. Obviously I would go Donaldson there, but for 1,000 less on FanDuel, I think he merits consideration if you need it. Speaking of Dodgers on a heater, Corey Seager, man. 2-home run night. That was fun. Tonight he gets Vincent Velasquez. Not quite the same matchup, but it's not the same price either. He's only 4,600 on DK, 3.9 on FanDuel, so a decent discount over yesterday's price for sure. There are some other guys that I like too. I think Seager will probably be extremely popular given his double dong day yesterday, and that he's facing Philly. People might not realize that Velasquez is actually really good. So Semien is in a good spot too against Wade Miley, who's not a terrible pitcher by any means, but Semien likes to crush left-handed pitching, and if he's up near the top of the order, for 3.6 on DK and 3.2 on FanDuel, I absolutely love him in cash. I'm not sure if he'll be tired or what, but what a night Brandon Crawford had last night. 7 for 8. 5 singles, a double, and a triple, and he stole a base just for good measure. So, if there's a definition of hot, I think it's that. And he gets Tom Kohler tonight. Is definitely susceptible to guys from the left side of the plate. 4.0 on DK is kind of pricey. I might lean Semi in there. Crawford tends to be in the bottom half of the order. But 2.7 on FanDuel is just a silly price for him. So he's definitely in consideration. You're going to need to save salary somewhere today, so might not be a bad place to do it at shortstop. If it seems like I'm going back to Toronto a lot, I am, because I think they're really underpriced, especially on DK. Against Smiley today, I love Michael Saunders. It's lefty-lefty, which is perfect for him. He's a strong reverse splits guy. 3.6 on DK, 3.3 on FanDuel. Yeah, Smiley does strike out more lefties and all that, but I'm not sure how that really adds up between a reverse splits guy and a pitcher that strikes out more of that side. So I guess we'll find out. But for that price, I'm pretty excited and willing to take a risk there. Bautista is again in a great spot. His price has started to come up. 4.2 on DK, 3.7 on FanDuel. I still don't know why he's so cheap, though. Adam Jones is way too cheap on FanDuel. 3.5 against Neal, who I mentioned earlier, is just not good. I mean, he's worse against lefties, but he's not good against righties either. Jones is 5.0 on DK. That's more of a fair price, but I'm much more interested on FanDuel at the lower price, obviously. Same story with Marcell Ozuna against Matt Moore. He's fared very well against Matt Moore in the past. It's a nice matchup. He's only 3.3 on FanDuel. That's pretty nice. He's 4.5 on DK. I'm much less interested there. We also got guys like Piscotty going up against Brandon Finnegan. It's kind of an interesting spot, but Piscotty is one of the guys that if I were playing Finnegan, I'd be afraid of, and that I'm not afraid to use against him. Although cards in general have really disappointed me lately. But I'm trusting in the numbers, and it adds up pretty nicely for Piscotty. 4.3 on DK, a little bit cheaper there. 3.4 on FanDuel, a little bit more than Ozuna. That's kind of a toss-up there for me, but I'd definitely go Adam Jones first for an extra $100. And then last but not least, we've got George Springer against Santiago. That kind of worries me a little bit, but Santiago does give up 36% hard contact and 52% fly balls. If he can get the bat on one of them, he could probably knock it pretty far. 4.2 on DK, 3.7 on FanDuel. I need to look into the Springer matchup a little bit more, to be honest. That my model absolutely loves it, so I have to take that seriously. It's not one that I would have gone to immediately on my own, though. But we'll see. Houston's just been so bad at hitting lefties. There's no expert chat today, so you just have to come by the Slurve tailgate where we'll be hanging out. Slurve.com, free to sign up. Come by, ask us some questions. Discuss DFS and baseball with us and the other guys there hanging around. Maybe start a fight club. I don't know, whatever. Come back later and check out the written content like the rundown. And good luck tonight, guys. Win all the money.